Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, kicking off the graded stakes action on Kentucky Oaks Friday with race number 6, the Grade 2 Alysheba Stakes. Before we get to the analysis, remember, Kentucky Derby is coming up on Saturday, and DRF.com has you covered with the one-stop Derby shop. You get your Derby packages, your past performances, your betting strategies, your clock reports. You get everything you need to win on Kentucky Derby Saturday at DRF.com. Here's the field for the Grade 2 Alysheba, older horses going 1 1/16 miles. It's the return of Maxfield, Mike, who hopes to get back to his winning ways after being beaten for the first time in the big cap at Santa Anita.
Yeah, he took the defeat for the first time in his most recent start. I didn't think he ran all that poorly, Dan, in the big cap. Ultimately, a wide trip, and perhaps the distance got to him. I mean, if nothing else, boy, they found a really good spot for him here to try to get back on track.
Intriguing pace scenario he's going to have to navigate, however. According to Timeform US, it's the rare gray bar scenario. They think the pace will be as slow as a glacier, with Roadster perhaps able to make the lead from Chess Chief. Roadster made his return off the layoff last time on the lead off an extremely long layoff, ran very well. Maybe he can slow down the pace and fend off Maxfield.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how the race is run, Dan. It really is hard to find speed in the race. You know, aside from Maxfield just being the fastest horse on the way in, Dan, I actually feel like a race with this kind of a pace projection works very well for Maxfield. He's not a slow horse early.
Visitant, the number 1, is a very interesting runner. He's done the majority of his damage over synthetic surfaces, but he raced on dirt back in 2019, only got beat a length by Roadster. And last time out in the Kentucky Cup Classic, I thought he ran quite well. It was a race with no pace. He was hung out 4 wide throughout, and he was just best.
Yeah, he really was. He did run well last time. I agree with you. I felt like he was, maybe one of the more interesting horses in here when you consider that, I mean, there's a chance he's the longest shot on the board come post time, Dan. His recent form, as you mentioned, is, I think, pretty good. I realize it's not necessarily on dirt, but his form is good. We've already seen him run pretty well on dirt before, so I'm not going to worry about the surface. And he's not a kind of horse I feel like is going to be compromised by the pace either. I feel like he can get a good trip from the rail.
And that was a solid field he beat last time out over the poly track at Turfway. The third finisher coming back to place third in the Grade 2 Elkhorn on turf at Keeneland with a 96 buyer. We have several horses exiting the New Orleans Classic at the fairgrounds. One of them is the number 2, Sonoma, who finished 5th of 7, kind of bobbled a bit coming out of the gate. I thought he had a look at it turning into the stretch, only flattened out a little bit. Maybe turning back in distance will help.
It probably will. Even with that being said, I just felt like he was pretty hard to like in this race. Dan, he's fine, don't get me wrong, and he tends to show up and run his race every single time, but I feel like we kind of know what Sonoma is at this point. He also just doesn't have really any speed at all, so if they do go slow early, I don't think anybody's more compromised than Sonoma is. It feels like he can't be a great price in this race. He's just not for me in this spot.
I believe attachment rate will also be entered Saturday in a sprint. He might fit better as a closing sprinter. Let's watch his last race, the Grade 3 Commonwealth at Keeneland on April the 3rd, where he just lagged at the back of the pack, swung widest into the stretch, didn't change leads, and ran an okay third in a race where the winner Flagstaff was right up close. This is a horse, though, again, I think is a little bit better suited to being a late-running one-turn type.
Yeah, I kind of prefer him in those races too. That being said, if they do elect to run him here, I'm going to use him with the favorite just because he has, if nothing else, Dan, he's run well enough going long that I feel like you don't really have to worry about it. I, like you, prefer him going a little bit shorter. And I get that the pace of this race could certainly compromise him. I liked his win 2 starts back. I thought he ran deceptively well last time in a race that just didn't have any pace at all for him to run at. I don't love him stretching out, but I think he's a good fit in this race.
Perhaps sneaking under the radar is the deceptively sharp number 4, Chess Chief, who's won 2 out of his last 3 races. Now, the only loss during that stretch came at the hooves of Maxfield in the Grade 3 Mineshaft. He was very game to win the New Orleans Classic. I still don't know how he got that bob.
I don't know how he got that bob either, but he did. And to his credit, he did too, Dan, because he had a lot of ground to make up at the top of the stretch. And he made it all up. He ran really well last time. He was beaten by Maxfield and Sonoma 2 starts back. But if you go back and watch the replay of that race, he might have been a little compromised. And he was over on the inside behind horses while the flow started on the outside. And those horses got the jump on him. I thought he actually was a good third in that race too. This horse makes a lot of sense in this race.
And if you go back to the projector, the pace projector, he can stay close. That could be key. Roadster, the number 5, still trying to figure out what Roadster is best at. Is he at best as a sprinter? Does he want to go a mile and an eighth as he did last time out in the New Orleans Classic? He runs well in most of his races. He just seems to underperform or find one or two better. The New Orleans Classic, listen, he had every right to be short off the layoff. He did a lot of work on the lead. He was pretty game, and he might be dangerous if allowed to set a slow pace second off the bench.
Yeah, those things are all true. I thought he ran fine last time. I guess the layoff would be the big excuse for him, Dan, because, you know, while he was making the pace, the horse that was up there with him was Owendale, and Owendale got beat a nose. So this horse ran fine considering the layoff and all that stuff. The thing that I don't like about him is, first of all, what you said. I don't know what his best distance is, and I feel like you could ultimately say this horse never really panned out after a lot of early potential. And now he's back in Baffert's barn, second off the layoff, and you know that's just going to bring money his way, and I don't want a short price on this horse.
Maxfield went to Southern California for the big cap. Let's watch that race right now. He was the beaten favorite. He was taken to the outside, must have been 4 wide, 5 furlongs from home to stay in the clear. He came with a mild run, and it's just a one-paced finish for Maxfield, who might have found the mile and a quarter a little far. He still ran well, I thought. A 99 buyer. Express Train, the runner-up, came back to earn that same figure when third in the Oaklawn handicap. As you said in the open, just a good spot for him to come back in.
Yeah, I think it really is a good spot for him maybe to get back on track here. And I'm with you. I feel like he ran fine last time. Maybe it was the distance that ultimately did him, and he was wide, but the winner was wide as well. I don't know. I just like this spot for him. I feel like if he shows up, runs his A race, he's probably going to beat this field. And again, I don't think the pace is really going to compromise him.
Top pick time for the Grade 2 Alysheba Stakes. Maxfield, the horse to beat. Maxfield's where we're going. You're going 6-3. I'm going 6-4.
Yeah, I just didn't really see the horse to take a shot against him with that. I think this is a good spot for Maxfield.
Maxfield, a Grade 1 winner at 2, already a graded stakes winner at Churchill Downs. It could be a big weekend for Godolphin. He'll be the favorite in the Alysheba.